Hi, it's Nell, and today I'm going to be showing you how I repot a large Dracaena. Very specifically, a large Dracaena Lisa. So stick around for that. I upload videos on a regular basis here at YouTube, and I have plenty in the archives for you to go check out all about gardening, both indoors and outdoors. So be sure and check them out, and be sure and hit subscribe, and I would love to have you come back. And also I am posting every Thursday on IGTV a little video there. Usually goes up in the afternoon, my time, Arizona time, so be sure and check out that too. So as usual, I do a blog post that goes along with every video because I usually forget things or I don't put in all the information, just trying to keep it shorter, so it'll be in the first line or two in the description box, so be sure and check that out. Also on my website, JoyUsGarden. So this is the end of April. It is a great time to repot houseplants. Spring, summer, into early fall. If you're in a warmer climate like I am, early fall is just fine, but spring and summer are great times. So why I'm repotting this, actually there's quite a few reasons for repotting, but the two that I am doing, actually three. The plant is in a 10-inch pot and it's getting pretty tall. It just isn't in proportion. It just needs a bigger base. And also the roots, so some of the roots are starting to come out of the drain holes. And the third reason you will see when we zoom in is there is a lot of white buildup around the bottom of the pot, and that is the mineral and the salts in the water, which are probably collecting in the bottom of the pot, which also causes some brown head tipping. So I want to put it in nice fresh soil and hopefully alleviate that. Okay, so here's all the white buildup on the pot there, and it's actually from the water, not the soil. I now have an in-faucet kitchen filter system, so hopefully it'll help to alleviate this mineral buildup kind of thing. And this is a 14-inch pot. I got it from a nursery supply house because it's hard to find 14-inch pots. I can find 15-gallon, but I didn't want those because they're so tall and not as wide. So this is actually a 10-inch pot. It's going from a 10-inch pot into a 14. Give it plenty of room to grow because it has grown quite a bit. And I already have the soil mixture in here. And what I do is I usually just take my hand and I'm like, okay, so this is at the root ball right to about my wrist, and I have it filled up with soil right to about there. I just go a little bit shy so that if I need to add a little bit on the bottom, I can, but that just gives me an indication of how much soil I need to put in the pot. Now I'm going to show you the soil blend I'm using and talk about a soil blend that would be suitable for you to use. Now, if your Dracaena is growing in soil, then you can use like half potting soil, half perlite or pumice. You just want a nice, really loose mix, or 3/4 of a really good potting soil and 1/4 of pumice or perlite, just so there's a lot of drainage and aeration for these big plants. But because mine is growing in lava rock, the growers oftentimes plant in lava rock because I guess it's easy for shipping. Maybe it doesn't attract insects as much, I don't know, but a lot of the bigger palms and the Dracaenas are planted in lava rock. So I'm going to do half potting soil, half rock. And I have these clay pebbles here. They're very light. They look like Cocoa Puffs. And then I also have lava rock. So these are my two rocks I'm going to use. Here's the potting soil. I use a good organic potting soil. Today I'm using Ocean Forest. I also use Happy Frog. That's another one I like. They're both by Fox Farm. Good organic potting soils. This is compost. It's a local organic compost because they like it rich too, some nice richness in there. And then this is worm compost, also a local worm compost, but I've used worm gold also. And the compost and the worm compost I use in really, really slight amounts because it is strong for a house plant, so you don't want to use that much. But everything else, it'll be like, as I said, half of the rock, half potting soil, and then a few handfuls of this nice chunky pumice. So this is a tub trug. I love these. I love them for collecting clippings in the garden. I love them for mixing up soil. I have this in my Amazon shop. I will also leave a link in the blog post because they're great to have. I think it was like, $13. It's just tough as can be. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw all this in here. Woo! And I'm going to get some more. And I'm mixing it up in here because doing this blend, it is too hard to mix it up in the pot with the plant being so big. And I already have the plant full of, half full of soil in the bottom. So I just need to mix it up to put around the top and the sides. Okay, so here it is. I'm just going to mix it up. You can see how chunky it is. You can also hear how chunky it is. And I might actually put in a little more of the rock because the plant itself is in so much rock. I don't want to shock it, or I don't want to keep it too wet by being in too much potting soil. So I think I'm going to add some more Cocoa Puffs. These Cocoa Puffs are so nice and light. It's nice, especially as you get older. It gets harder to lug all this heavy stuff around. Okay, I think I'm just going to use up the lava rock because I just have a little bit. Okay, so that is the blend. On to the repotting. Okay, so you saw that soil blend. The soil blend in there is the same soil blend that's in here. So what I'm going to do to make this a little bit easier is I'm going to tie up these bottom leaves so that I don't crush them too much, because I'm not doing this at my potting table. The plant is so big, I'm going to do it on the ground. So I'm going to try and I'm going to try to not tip the plant over to get it out of the pot, but we'll see how that goes. So Brielle is here filming me today, so I'm going to have her hold up the leaves, and I'm just going to tie a piece of a ribbon around it to keep these leaves out of the way. I usually use my pruning saw for this to try and loosen it away, but it's in the garage, and the garage is closed at the moment, but I'm going to see if I can just loosen it. And I don't know if this plant is going to pull out or not easily, so we'll see how much trouble this gives me, because if you watch any of my repotting videos, you know, some just pop right out, and some I need the crane to pull them out. So I loosened it a bit around. I thought I was going to have to get the pruning saw, but Brielle offered to hold the pot, so she held the pot and I gave it a good tug, and it has come out, or it's going to come out. There we go. And there are the roots. As you can see, they are pretty fine, you know, but there's a lot of them. So I'm just gonna, you know, loosen them a little bit. Just go around to get them kind of so they can grow out, just kind of like that. And now I can get it in the pot. So it turns out it was in more potting soil than I thought. All the lava rock is on the top, but there's a bit, you know, through here. So it's probably about, you know, just the same blend that I'm doing, half and half. So that's actually good for it. It's not going to go into any kind of a shock like, ah. Okay, so I already wet this soil that's in here. By the way, you want to make sure it's good and wet. And I watered the plant yesterday morning too, because I wanted to make sure that it was nice and watered. So I have the blend in here already, and I didn't save one of my bowls or scoops, so I'm going to have to do it with my hand. They all went back into the garage after the last couple videos. So I'm just going to go in and fill in around till it's almost full, and then I'm going to put a layer of worm compost around it very close to the top, and then I'm going to top it off with this mix. All right, so it's almost all full up, so I'm just doing like maybe a 1/4 inch layer of worm compost. I figure, I need to wash my hands a lot anyway because I'm filming this during the virus of 2020, which we all know what it is. So I'm going to go in and wash my hands thoroughly anyway. So I thought, oh, well, this stuff is organic, so it's fine. And then just a little topper off. And that is going to be it. It will settle down a little bit, but not too much because it's already wet. The bottom half was already wet, so it's not going to sink too much down in. And I think that is fine because I don't want to cover up too much of the top of the canes that weren't. So if the soil level is here, you don't want to go and add new soil up to here because it's gonna be hard for it to breathe. So I just put probably like 1/2 inch layer over where the existing root ball was. And voila, Miss Lisa is all done and ready to grow. All right, so it's almost all full up. So I'm just doing like maybe 1/4 inch layer of worm compost. I figure, I need to wash my hands a lot anyway because I'm filming this during the virus of 2020, which we all know what it is. So I'm going to go in and wash my hands thoroughly anyway. So I thought, oh, well, this stuff is organic, so it's fine. And then just a little topper off. And that is going to be it. It will settle down a little bit, but not too much because it's already wet. The bottom half was already wet, so it's not going to sink too much down in. And I think that is fine because I don't want to cover up too much of the top of the canes that weren't. So if the soil level is here, you don't want to go and add new soil up to here because it's gonna be hard for it to breathe. So I just put probably like 1/2 inch layer over where the existing root ball was. And voila, Miss Lisa is all done and ready to grow. So she is untied and free to be herself now. Oh, aren't you happy to be in this nice new soil? So what I'm going to do for the watering is I'm not going to water it. The plant was moist. I watered it a day or two before this whole process went down. And the soil on the bottom is wet. So I'm just going to kind of let it settle in for probably about 5 days, maybe a week. I'll see how it's going. And then I'm going to water it. I'm going to water it just around where the root ball is because it's going into a bigger mass of soil. So I don't want to keep it too sopping wet because dracaenas do like to dry out a bit or be a little bit on the drier side. So I don't want to keep this sopping wet. But when I watered it, oh, the other thing I forgot to tell you is I put paper bags over these big drain holes because there's like 6 big drain holes and a big drain hole on the bottom, which is great. But I put paper bags over them that the water can still flow out, but it'll hold this soil in because there's so many light particles in the soil. It's going to keep it from all coming out. But when I watered the bottom layer of soil, the bottom half, and the water just flowed out, but yet it stayed wet. So just what I wanted to do. So it's really not that hard to do. It's with a large one. I always find it's good to have someone to help. But I've done it by myself too. It's just a little bit more work. So now she's ready to go back in the bedroom. And as I said, I'm just going to watch it on the watering, how much it has to be watered. We are going into a really hot time here in Tucson. So I will probably water this plant about every 10 to 14 days in the summer, maybe once a month in the winter. It's a north exposure, but it's still very bright because it's Tucson. So I'm just going to have to see how it is drying out and what it's doing. But that's kind of a ballpark. When you have a whole lot of soil. You just want to be careful with your watering, because even though it seems it's dry up here, down here where a lot of the roots are, it could still be wet. And I have probably forgotten to say quite a few things, but I always will write more in the blog anyway, because I do an outline that I oftentimes don't look at that much. So it's like, oh, so all the good points will be in the blog. I just wanted to show you the procedure here on how to plant a large Dracaena. And at some point coming up, I'm going to do how to plant smaller Dracaenas, which is really easy. So this procedure, the steps, applies to all Dracaenas, not only the Dracaena lisa, all of the large ones. If yours wasn't in too much, lava rock, you don't have to worry about the lava rock, but I just wanted to put a lot of rock in there because it already had a bunch of rock in there. But this is my way that I repot all of my big Dracaenas. So it is now early August. I filmed this repotting video in April, when it was cooler here in Tucson and I had a lot of repotting to do. But I just wanted to show you how the Dracaena lisa is doing now. Doing great in that big pot. And that is my relatively new kitty cat Sylvester. I adopted him in December. You can see how excited he is by the camera. And I'm taking a little downtime in August, just updating some blog posts. But I will be back with a new video on red aglaonema care in about 3 weeks. Hope you're having a good summer. And here's Riley Cat, who you've seen in some of my videos, sleeping in his usual exposed pose. So I hope you have found this video about repotting a large Dracaena, specifically this one is a Dracaena lisa, to be helpful. I have a lot more videos coming your way, so stay tuned for those. I thank you for all your likes and your subscribes. I truly appreciate them. Now let's get into our indoor gardens and make our worlds a more beautiful place. As always, I thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!